Okay, this video is going to show a graphic and a tragic end to two box turtles, two that I know of. I can't describe how bad I hate it. This brush pile where the tape is laying there is roughly 8 feet wide and it runs about 7 feet deep. It's not a huge brush pile. It's my burn pile. It's on the end of a garden, and I've got hundreds of yards of tree line that meet my yard. And we also have dead ash trees. The ash trees have the ash borer, and they're dying like crazy. This is in southern Indiana. It's a constant battle with them. It's never ending, and I'm just cleaning up the ash trees that are dying on the property's edge. We're trying to get some quail to come in. I've only got 3 acres, but that's all I can contribute to the warm season grass program. This is just some quick shots of my 3 acres of habitat. I'm shooting into the sun right now. More of it right here. I don't know if you can see the smoke, but that's where the tragedy occurred. It's only 3 acres. The state of Indiana wants to call it a pollinator and songbird habitat, but it will bring in butterflies. It's going to be good for the hummingbirds, rabbits, and box turtles, and it's going to bring in some bees. I hope the honeybees. And the thing to remember is I've got a lot of time and money invested in just 3 acres. The grasses are big and little blue stem and side oats grama, and a series of about 10 or 11 wildflowers. And the recipe of the seeds, they were given to me by an Indiana State biologist. Before I zoom in and show you the box turtles, I've been really worrying about how to prevent this from happening again. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to stack my brush, because this is my fault, because this brush laid here for a good 6 weeks. And that's obviously enough time for something to build a habitat into it. And what I'm going to do to prevent it is just simply stack my brush into a different area over in here, and then when I burn, I'll stack it again into the designated burn pile. That way I'm not going to kill anything else. Also, I want to add that it's been my past experience, and I've had burn piles my whole life, off and on, growing up on a farm and having a property. I like to have enough property with a woods and a tree line in the yard. It's been my experience that birds, if they do nest in it early in the spring and you start a small fire, they're going to get out. They simply just hop out and fly out. Rabbits are going to get the hell out of there like a bolt of lightning, but I never thought of box turtles. And another thing I just discovered, sadly, that box turtles, according to Wikipedia, they breed between May and October. The population is declining. I'll go more into that later on what the status, the conservation status is on them right now officially. So all I did last night, rather than clean up some area and get rid of some dead wood, I contributed to the decline in population. I'm sorry about that. If you don't want to see burnt turtles, don't watch any further. This is strictly educational. I'm strongly advising anyone, a lot of people in rural counties in this country, they burn brush. It's just a fact of life. You have storms blow through and you have to clean up and burn the brush. But when you leave the brush for 6 weeks or 8 weeks and you wait, say you endure some rains and the stormy weather, you got to wait a while before you can burn it. Well, as you're waiting, these guys might just make a home in it. And this has been my first time I've ever seen this. And it's sad. I mean, I'm telling you, it's sad. And these guys are not going to be disposed of. I'm just not going to hurl their bodies over into the woods. I'm going to wrap them up. I'm going to bury them. This little guy's even got his neck sticking up. And you can tell what he went through was a heck of a tragic death. He's raised up. gasping, and it just makes me sick. I wouldn't have done this for nothing, for no amount of money. The fire was yesterday. I ran chainsaws for a good 3 hours yesterday. Very noisy. Well, I guess the noise doesn't bother them. And then I got to looking around. After I saw him this morning, I went in the house and Googled a little bit about box turtles. I thought, well, heck, there might be another one. And did a careful look around, and sure enough, just about 2 feet, here's one here closer to the fire. I'd say there's a 99% chance that they were mates. So I just wiped out a family. And I hate that, because I would have really loved to have had a family on the property. This is just a quick shot of Wikipedia on the conservation status on box turtles. You can see to the far right is the least concern, LC. Then there's an NT. I don't know what that stands for. I'm not going to get into that. But you can see that there are 3 categories in the threatened bracket. To the far left is extinct. Box turtles have left the category of least concern, either went through or skipped the NT, and they have entered the first category of threatened, just called vulnerable. So that's where we're at. That makes me really feel bad about it. Like I say, I'll never do this again. Okay, the little guys are going to get a proper burial. One other thing I want to bring out, the fact that altogether I mow about 4 acres, and in the months of July and August, and this year all through September, I have to mow my 2.5 acres about every 6 days. 7 days is pushing it. And I'm on my neighbor's yard too. They total 4 acres. Well, the fact is, in 3 years, I've never even seen one single box turtle in our yards. And that's what really kind of blew me away on finding these dead box turtles burn up in that fire. My advice is to anyone with a burn pile, don't make the mistake I did. Don't keep piling that brush up there for 4 or 5, 6 weeks, even 2 or 3 months, until you can get an ideal burn period. You know, the wind's got to lay down, the wind's got to be right. And in my county, you got to call the sheriff's department and kind of get permission to burn. And they'll advise you of the winds and stuff. And because people around here, when they see smoke, they will call it in. So I had the sheriff's permission. So in the future, I will stack my brush out in here, in this area, and then before I burn, I'll move it to the designated burn pile. That designated burn pile will not change. It'll be there, it could be there for the rest of my life. It's a pretty good spot. It will guarantee me not to kill any more box turtles. And I thank you for watching, and I hope everyone learns from my mistake.